what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this, my second channel, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there's also a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal link and crypto link in the info box below this video. Can't join the show because this is a rerun, but I will pass over to the Hangout as they're continuing from the first live show, which has just ended, while I set up for the second show. So hopefully they'll be chatting away as we transition across to them now. So let's see who's in.
So let's do the mathematics, shall we? So the guys paid $9 each. 9 times 3 is 27, and then the dude put $2 in the pocket. That sums 29. Where in the fuck is the missing dollar, right?
Yeah, I have read it before. I do know the answer, but I'll not spoil it.
You see, no. But I'm saying, I mean, is the way that you interpret the mathematics and the numbers. It could be so simple as that, as you just tweak the version on how to explain things, and it give you an axiom, but not necessarily is the right axiom. So it could be hijacked in so many ways with big, you know, all big complicated equations and shit. It could
There's
be
also
hijacked.
the aspect of zero. Just the whole aspect of zero is a fascinating thing to look at numbers. I mean, we all know there's really no such thing as zero. I hope, or it's a.
Well, then it goes back to the ice creams thing that I always say. You can't take 5 ice creams off me if I've only got 2. But only in maths can you do that.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Hey guys, do any of you have a YouTube channel with flat earth content?
Yes, be sure to subscribe to Nathan Oakley channel. And if you're watching this on Nathan Oakley and you don't realise, be sure to subscribe.
Why is that, Apollo?
I was going to say, why are you asking that when you know that all of us have?
I wanted to ask because the Discord server thing I'm admin at, we're looking to provide. Actually, is this online or is this off air? But it will get published in your second channel, right, Nathan?
Yes, it will be rebroadcasted later.
Okay, that's fine. So
that Discord is sure a lot of screaming and hollering.
You're not sounding very coherent today. Are you drunk again?
No. Explain, Apollo. Talk about flat earth.
Yeah, so I am administrator of a flat earth Discord server. Unfortunately, most of our users are round earthers, and we want to get some quality flat earth content on the server. So what we are working on is providing a YouTube partnership. So you can post your videos on the channel on a dedicated advertisement channel just for YouTubers, and in return you advertise our debate server in your YouTube videos. So it's an eye for an eye thing. On this way we hope to get
Sorry,
more
just before you go on, it's not eye for an eye, it's you scratch your back. No, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. Eye for an eye is like vengeance. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Oh, well, it's scratch your back, or you get a beer, I get a beer. So on this way we hope to get more flat earthers into the chat.
Well, can I ask you a question? You said it's a flat Earth room with mostly ballers. So is it just I mean, how can you? Something's missing there.
Well, it has flat Earth in the name, but we allow everybody in. And we only that's why. And by default there are more round earthers on Earth than flat earthers. So there is a instability, there is a disproportion. At one point we tried to fix this by only giving promotions to flat earthers, but this didn't work out, and it was kind of unfair. So we stopped only giving out flat earth promotions.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, then there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal and crypto link in the info box below this video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching. Then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by William. Oh, I've got somebody who I don't know. Vegan Goy, Sleeping Warrior, Neil, Jose, Eric, Chocolate Saiyan, Warren, and Apollo. Good to have you all.
Aloha.
Yo.
Hello.
Afternoon.
Did I hear Nummy?
Hello, guys.
Got a few
Where's
South Africans
Nutmeg?
rowdy in the background with William as well. Probably joined by at least a couple of other people, or somebody very, very loud, along with William.
I'd like to say good morning to Ronnie with his new name out there. I forget what it is, but nice to see you stalking me early this morning.
Oh, Ronnie O'Sullivan. You know Ronnie O'Sullivan's a famous snooker player, right?
Yeah, but he's also a troll that goes to all the chats that I'm on, and now he's called Oakley or whatever. He's changed his name, so he always likes to change his name.
Oh, okay. It's jolly good. Thanks
Always
for tuning in.
Nice to have a mini-me, eh?
Yeah. It's good to have fans. So, should we do a bit of housekeeping? Anybody object?
Yeah, do it quick. My dogs have started being quiet, so let's do it quick.
Okay. Any signs of curvature?
No.
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 Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
None
No.
whatsoever.
None at all.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
Nope. Who cares?
No.
Can't measure it.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No.
What gravity?
Yeah, that
Any
really is the
gravity?
question. What is gravity?
Big
Well,
G or
there's
little G?
no scientific evidence for it. It's an assumption based on the relative, what they call weight of things in air, it would seem.
No.
No scientific evidence of gravity. Charlie, good. Any evidence of a
No,
self-perpetuating...
what?
Say again? No, fair enough. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
No.
That is
Definitely not.
ridiculous.
No, fair enough. There's quite a few space believers in the audience at the moment, so is there any evidence that you can have a gas pressure, like we all breathe, without a container?
No. It's worth checking out. It's worth checking that out on Google. You know, if you do a search on YouTube for gas pressure without a container, you just get Nathan Oakley battering conspiracy cats all the way through. So check that out on YouTube, even just on Google. You don't have to do it in specifically in YouTube. It's great.
No, I am your father.
Yeah. Do you remember that guy, Britney Spears, when she cut off all her hair and that guy?
Sorry,
went
did you say that
OTT
guy,
with his
Britney
reaction?
Spears? No. We're not having any of that on here. We're not
Yeah,
going to be
no.
trans investigating Britney Spears. No.
Well, the guy, his reaction is like, "Don't just leave Britney alone."
Oh, that guy. Yeah, okay.
It's kind of like that with gravity. Just don't take my gravity away. That's literally what it's like.
Don't take my ball away.
Yeah. Cognitive dissonance runs strong in heliocentrism.
So, what about the R value? Any evidence of that presupposition that Earth has a radius?
No.
There's no radius.
Cool. That concludes housekeeping. Thanks
That was
to
easy, wasn't it?
Anthony's dogs.
Yeah, they've been good.
So about conspiracy cats then. So last time we checked up on the subject of education, there was a bit of a tete-a-tete between, I think, Mark Taylor and somebody else, maybe Jen Panda, regarding the compliance, I think that's the correct word, that the head teacher of Conspiracy Cat's former school was aligning himself with. Oh, had a mobile drop. Can you expand on that? Has it been settled?
It's been settled in so much as Jeremy Waternaby, otherwise known as Jen Panda, 2016 or whatever his name is.
2012.
2012. I challenged them to go and check it with Conspiracy Cats because basically they say that I was telling lies. The point was whether or not it was just professional courtesy or not. And the answer was, when they went and checked it, that it was beyond that. It was to do with legislation. They know the law. They're aware of it. And he was probably complying. He didn't expressly state that I'm going to let you do this on YouTube because I'm complying with the law. But there's no benefit to a teacher acting outside of his role of a teacher, doing a hangout on YouTube about whatever to do with flat Earth. When he's outside the school, there's only the risk. There's no benefit to the school. And Conspiracy Cats confirmed that they're aware of the legislation and they were complying, basically, in a nutshell. And obviously, Jeremy then didn't decide to tell everybody that I wasn't actually lying. He just told everybody. Well, he didn't actually tell anybody anything. He just said, yeah, you might be right on that one. Shh, don't say anything, though. But we'll still tell everyone he's a liar.
That's about right. Not that you're a liar,
Yep.
but that's what they'd do.
Yep.
Okay. And what about the actual progress with your project itself? How's that coming along?
Well, I'm away for a week on holiday, coming in the next week or so. So I'm basically going to do it in that week because I don't need to dwell on it. I don't need to sit on it for weeks and months and months and months when it doesn't need to be in until like summer. So I'm going to just do it over like before Christmas and get it out of the way with. Because there's no revelation coming about the sudden new evidence for gravity or anything that would throw it all in the bin, and there's certainly no evidence coming from the ballers. So it's like, well, I'm pretty confident that I can create the argument that is valid in law for heliocentricity being partisan politics, and it should be banned. That's what I'm going to be arguing. So I'll be doing it in the next 10 days or so.
Oh no! Wait, got a last-minute entry for the distance to the sun, Anthony.
No way.
No. Not really.
Are you going to add the word aberration in your essay?
No, please don't.
No. No, I won't be doing that, no.
Darwin has progressed the gravity argument, and if nothing else, you should give him credit for that.
Progressed or regressed?
No, progressed, as in the argument got discussed more and looked at in more detail than ever before, and I think you'll agree that regardless of Arwen's actual views on the shape of the Earth, he did put a better argument or better arguments forward for gravity. You know, he's letting it peter out slowly, which is sensible. He doesn't want to drop it altogether because otherwise, you know, like whoever's just dropped this subject about the compliance with the schools, you know, it looks dodgy if you just drop it. So he's let it peter out, which is better. He's sensible. Arwen's not stupid.
Well, I think he's definitely got the belief that he's got more arguments and better arguments than all of the ballers put together, to be honest with you.
Well,
Let's be honest, they don't
nothing wrong
like
with
coming in
confidence.
anymore.
What's
They
wrong
think
with
that you bully them, Nathan.
What's
And
wrong
I
with
actually think
confidence?
Nathan's the most underrated YouTube content creator within Flat Earth, in my opinion. So I can see why they don't want to come in, but it doesn't change the fact that Arwen is a better arguer for gravity than all of them put together, because he honestly believes
that's my
it.
point. That's exactly my point. So therefore, it has been progressed as a direct consequence, and irrelevant of what his position is now and how he's letting it peter out. You know, he's going to have a certain degree of pride, isn't he? So he's not going to just let it completely drop and let you go, ha ha ha. You know, we had you on it, and he's going to let it peter out, and therefore he's going to retain a lot more pride as a result. And ultimately, I don't look at it in those terms. I wanted the argument to be had, and Arwen progressed that quite extensively. As much as, you know, I don't think either of you really fell out about it. Maybe Arwen once with you because he saw it as personal, but I think that pretty much, you know, petered out also pretty quickly. You know, you and him are pretty cordial, apart from when you mention the word aberration or gravity.
Yeah. Which basically is the extent of our friendship.
No, I don't know. I think you get on with Arwen better than you realise.
I like him. I just think that we shouldn't really argue their points, especially when there's not supporting evidence for what we're saying. That's their argument. We shouldn't really be doing their argument for them. And although he's entitled to his views on the shape of the Earth, it is a debate, and it is their debate. So let's give it to them and let them argue it, because we shouldn't have to argue their arguments for them. But I think that it's a valid point that he could theorize on how Santa's sleigh becomes anti-gravity, because that's a brilliant application for him to spread his wings. And then everybody understands then that he's not trying to push it as real. He's just fantasizing over how Santa's sleigh may actually work if gravity is a thing. So I think that context would make it like totally legitimate as a point of inquiry.
Well, not legitimate. What you're saying is it to send it into farce, but it contextualizes it along the same wavelength or boundaries that gravity has, which is none. It's just fantasy.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Did you say
Eric, you going? Eric, you going, bud?
That wasn't me.
No, me.
That was Apollo.
Yeah.
Hey, Apollo.
That wasn't
Yeah.
me.
Not me.
Have fun.
Apollo, drop the link to your Discord in the back chat. I want to check it out later.
I will. I can actually, once this hangout is over, I can go to the Google Hangout page, and I will just post the link there with a description, so you guys can look at it later. Sending it right now will just cause confusion, I think.
Cool.
So, hey, about the school thing, there are some people, I don't want to name names, but let's just say they're in your part of the neck of the woods there, Nathan, Riley.
Do you mean physically, or do you mean they agree with me on the point?
No, physically, they're suggesting that when people are, quote, talking about going into the schools, that they're going to go in there with models and discs and all that, which I think some people might like to. I don't think there's anyone really here that was thinking when they say going into the schools, giving a flat Earth model. I mean, I hope.
Oh, models! I thought you said bottles. I was like, what, we're going to go in and get them all
The
drunk?
model proves nothing.
Well, no, I'm just saying that there are people saying, talking about this idea of, they call it going into the schools, and they're kind of suggesting that some of us think that we're going to go in there and say, oh, the Earth is flat, and here it is. Here's your picture, and here's your anyway.
When you say there are some of us, are you talking about people against us or with us?
It's somebody that has another YouTube channel that's suggesting that people talking about going into schools are going in there as flat earthers.
No, absolutely.
I know. I'm just putting it out there.
Just don't be cryptic, Eric. Just be blunt and
Well, Dell was bitching about it.
Just tell us who's saying what, and then we can be a bit more clear.
Dell's latest one, he's talking about, these guys are talking about going into schools and they're going to go in there, and he's just blah, 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 blah. and he kind of brought up, with pictures and cartoons. Like, I mean, I would hope that nobody here is of the mindset that we, when we talk about going into schools, and it's quite a very broad, undetailed concept as it is.
So
right
they're even talking about somebody else, not from this panel. Oh, he misinterpreted. He just misunderstood what this was all about.
I was going to say it sounds like it's an argument from ignorance, to be honest.
Exactly. I don't think those words have ever crossed anybody's lips. Going into schools.
No.
Well,
I mean,
I've said going into schools, yeah, because that's the description that you would be doing by doing what I'm suggesting, but not going into schools as a flat earther saying that the Earth's flat. Absolutely not.
Right. All right. I just wanted to, I think that's an interesting topic.
No. Sorry. Hold on, Eric. Sorry. No. Okay. There is going to be no point that Anthony walks into a school. So if that's been wrapped up contextually incorrect, then that needs to be made clear. Nobody's walking into any school.
It depends on what you mean by that, Nathan. It depends on what the context is that the criticism is as well. The intention is to get into the schools and present the opposing balanced view against the heliocentric model.
You're not about to walk into a school with a flat Earth model or any model or anything or any information for that matter and say anything to anybody in a school. But by the virtue that you are looking at the education system, that directly is linked. It is the school. It's the overriding entity that governs the school, but it doesn't mean you're going into a school physically going to put boots on the ground in a school ever.
Well, no, I think there's a lot of aspects. When we say going into school, I think maybe we can unpack this. I mean, are we actually going into the school to talk to the kiddies in a classroom or in a cafeteria?
That is my intention in the long term, yeah.
Maybe. Are we going into the school to talk to the administration and challenge them? Maybe. Are we going into a school and also maybe taking this into some sort of legal court system? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, going into a school, what does that mean exactly? There's a lot of possibilities.
It depends on the context in which it's said.
Right.
If somebody's saying it with a negative undertone, then it's going to be criticism, isn't it? But if you say the same words but with a positive undertone, then it's basically talking about enthusiasm or protagonism or whatever positive word you want to add. So it all depends entirely on the context in which it's said. But if it's come from Dell, for instance, and the context wasn't positive, then I can only assume it's a negative position that he's interpreted and a negative.
He didn't mention you by any chance, but he's talking, he said people starting to talk about going into the schools and then he suggested that this means that we're going in with pizza dishes and as flat earthers and selling a model, which I'm sure there are some people in flat earth that might think that's a good idea. I'm not.
Maybe he's talking about someone else then, because that's certainly not the idea. I mean, it may be that people utilise the information that's unturned by Anthony to approach their school for a certain given circumstances that they need to approach or attack or whatever. Then that's different. But that's certainly not what we're proposing to do. But that might be the end result for an individual. But this isn't what Anthony's doing is not grassroots. It's not going in at a school level, but it will directly affect potentially, or hopefully directly affect how they operate as a whole. If it was successful, which it may not be.
What I would say is, regardless of the context in which it was spewed, and I'll use the word spewed because it sounds like it's a negative context. What I will say is, thank God it's a leaderless movement, and there's no one prime minister, as it were. Because if the prime minister in this case was against the idea that we're questioning the education system, that'd be a problem for me because it's the education system that's the bloody problem.
Right. No, I know. I just wanted to put that out there because when
I appreciate the message, mate.
Yeah, I found it a bit misleading.
I still think it's an argument from ignorance on the basis that I don't think that he understands the point that's being made, and then just repackaging it in his own slur kind of thing.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not talking bad about Dell. So if this gets bad, even I like Dell. I like him for what he is. I think he's pretty genuine. He's got his own personality and his own tone to the approaching this stuff. So.
I don't think you are. I mean, you're passing on a bit of information, and there's either two things: either he's got a fair criticism, or he's talking about someone else, or there's a third option, which is that no, that needs to be given clarity. Because if he's taken that impression and it is us he's talking about, then that needs clarifying. So good, you know, those sort of objections need to be raised so that either they can be clarified as, you know, benign, don't worry about it, we're not going to be marching into schools with peach trays and presenting models, but you might very well be talking about someone else. And if someone is proposing going into a school and talking about bloody azimuthal equidistant global projection and saying it's the flat earth, then, you know, they need a good slap. That's not what you should be doing. You know, that's their system. You know, you've got to be very careful.
Yeah. And whilst we're talking about going into schools, I want to shout out Marilyn Flat Horizon, I think her channel's called. She's in her 60s. She's an American woman, and she's pretty much renegade as far as I can see. She was on the board of governors meeting in her local high school, and she basically battered them. She said this is not acceptable, what's going on, and she basically stated her position. And if Marilyn Flat Horizon, I think it's called, and it's ace. So massive kudos to that woman, because she doesn't. I don't think she gets real.
What was her overall just attacking the system they're teaching as being a belief system? I mean, she didn't come in as a flat Earth, right?
No. She just said that what we're teaching kids basically effectively to be stupid. That was her angle, and I agree completely.
How did they react about her approach?
Silence.
Yeah.
They were just gobsmacked. So Marilyn Flat Horizon, I think the channel's called. Check it out. She's ace.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 60.
But yeah, I think it is a good topic, and it's obviously getting out there amongst other people. It's not just here. I've been saying, you know, I've been very interested in the education system for a long time. Not interested in a good way, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say, and I think it is something we should start hashing out a bit more, and definitely, I'm sure we are. So.
Yeah, I think if Del was critical in some way, and I suggest it's because he's probably speaking from a position of ignorance, join the show and then have the conversation, Del, because I don't mind explaining myself just for your benefit if you don't understand what's going on.
And like I said, I didn't watch the whole show. He didn't name any names. He just brought up, you know, going into schools, that phrase, and then suggested that it was about, you know, going in with as flat earthers and models and pictures and presentations and all that. So that's what he's kind of alluding to.
Well, I would say that that's basically an argument from ignorance. And if that's really what he said to people, it needs to be corrected, and it needs to be corrected by him, because that's what's been said. Perhaps not. But if you are listening, Del, join. Let's have the conversation, and let's see if it is an argument from ignorance, because I think it probably is.
Just a quick question. I go on his show once in a while. I'll probably bring that up, that, you know, what he's meaning, or is that his stance. And I'm sure I know there's other people that listen here that go on to Dell's as well. So if anyone else is interested in hashing it out and get clarification amongst people, I think it's
I got a criticism. Yeah, when some people is watching either a video presentation, don't just look the first. If it's an hour presentation, don't look the first 2 minutes and just get a rough idea of what is going to be talked about, and then make premature conclusions of the video or whatever presentation, because I have made that mistake. I have heard comments, you know, just starting to talk about something, and I be typing messages or something that I regret later, because as I further listen to the conversation or what is being presented, then I said, like, holy shit, you know, I just posted something that I didn't mean to, you know. So it might be something like that somebody just take an approach because they didn't watch the whole thing, or they didn't listen the whole part of the story, you know.
I think Del is, and like I said, I'll admit I didn't watch the whole thing. You know how Del starts his. He starts kind of with his monologue thing, and he sometimes brings on people to discuss. But you know, I mean, everyone's here familiar with Del's overall format. So it was in his intro. He was just, you know, doing his thing, and but he's pretty rational. I think, you know, I mean, he's open. He and I have had some disagreements on a few things, but we hash things out.
I think it's Marilyn Spirit is her
Marilyn level spirit or spirit level.
Marilyn Spirit level. That's
the
channel that you want to subscribe.
Marilyn, like Marilyn Monroe, or
Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn Spirit level. If you look that up, that's her channel name. Everybody go out there and subscribe. She's got 872 subscribers.
She needs supporting, because she seems to be on her own, and if she's got a group with her, she keeps them off camera, or they don't want to go on camera, whichever. But she's ace. I mean, 60, and she's still giving it large on the streets. Like,
hey, watch it. Watch it with these 60s comments, okay?
No, I'm crediting them, man. I'm not criticizing.
Act like we're old, man. We ain't 90.
I think you're the one with the problem here, though, man. Come on.
No, I think it's you, Anthony. Suddenly, when someone gets to the age of 60 for some reason, you suddenly feel it's necessary to mention their age or mention how they're doing really well because of their age, and it's really condescending.
Well, no, you've got a valid point.
I don't mean it well, when you say activism, it implies youth, doesn't it? It doesn't imply whatever adjective you want to take offense to, and I'm not accepting that I'm doing
Why does that imply youth?
I'm just teasing you.
That's
I'm also kind of
outrageous.
reminding you that 60, you know, it's really not what you think it is. You'll find that out when you are 60 if you're.
No, I know. I'm not being derogatory.
No.
Yeah, you are. You just don't know it. It's like that guy that calls an Indian guy Paki and says, "I'm not being racist. It's just how we talk." You know, that's the same sort of equivalent. Just because you're not aware of how offensive you're being doesn't mean you're not being offensive. You are.
No, I don't. I'm sorry if anybody's offended, but realistically, if you're offended by supporting somebody that's not of the same generation,
I know what you mean. It's not about the age. It's that somebody has still gotten older down the line and actually has passion that actually is not set in their ways.
Yeah.
You look at most people like that are like 30, 40. It's like you haven't changed since you're 25, 30. It's like you got your education, you've got your worldview, and then boom, you're done. And that's what 30 years old, 35, 40, 50, 60. I mean, just people, it seems like most people stop learning new things by 30.
I'll be right back. I got to go get my walker.
I mean, at least that's my observation.
Shout out to the 1900s and George Nathan, one of the oldest Glovers ever.
Shout out retracted. We'll know if he's really gone for his walker, because if he's back in like 10 seconds, he hasn't gone for his walker, and he's just trolling.
What was I looking for? I forgot what I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
Riley.
Yo.
The title of her videos are very vague. Which one is it you're talking about where she's at the school?
Well, there's a few. Well, I don't know. I've not got it on screen right at this second, but you'll have to look through them. But there's it's not that long ago. I'll have to find it and give you the answer, but I don't know the answer off the top of my head, and I'm busy kicking ass on Command and Conquer right at this second. So,
click.
Hashtag priorities, right?
Am I on the right one? Because it looks like she only has like 4 videos and they're all 1 week old.
Digital Plaque says you want to look for Flat Earth PA School Board 1 September 25th 18. That's what you want to look for.
Oh my God. Flat Earth PA. What? Flat Earth PA what? School PA.
Flat Earth PA space dash space School Board 1 space dash 25.
Okay. I'm not gonna. School Board 25 September 18.
No, School Board 1. Then just search. Then find the date of the 25th.
Oh, I see.
September.
Yeah, I got it. Second one. Okay, cool. This is brilliant. I can just look at these people sitting up there. Ugh. I've been here.
At least she's allowed to talk. Some of these board meetings, they bring out, we're not here to answer your questions, and then all of a sudden there's some kind of deputy behind you. Like, well,
these people nauseate me.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate the way that it's,
just look at them.
I'm gonna have someone on my show.
These people are human. Rumpus thinks these kind of people sitting up there are valued members of society. It's a kind of mindset. Look at these people.
I'm expecting someone on my show today, a half hour after this show, that has direct experience with school boards and violence. So if anyone wants to tune in, I hope she still comes on, but so far we're expecting her.
School boards and violence? What do you mean?
She'll go over it.
You mean fighting?
The whole bullying and violence and just
bullying of faculty, bullying of staff, and stuff you will never imagine.
I don't know if you should call it violence, but I mean, you're more bullying and intimidation.
It's violence.
Mm-hmm.
Well, state funded, isn't it? So when you get state funding, people want to protect that because that's basically their living if you're in high enough position, right?
Yeah.
Don't take my NASA away from me. I will guard it up with my life. Here, go back up to the International Space Station and make another video.
She must be in a pretty urban area with it. Look at all these bureaucrats. What is there, like a dozen of them up there? Must be in California or something.
Did you guys see the Flat Earth Rain Man at the show? He's able to memorize all the zip codes in America, and he can tell you like what, basically not necessarily what street you're on, but he can narrow it down to what town you're in what area and whatever, based just on his zip, and he can do it from memory.
Oh,
Well,
crazy.
you know, it's actually pretty easy because 9 is West Coast, and then 0 is East Coast, and then up and down. It's all basically, it's just how the so-called federal government cut up into a matrix all the districts.
You say it's pretty easy, but
Yeah, no, it's not easy.
when you watch him doing it, and you can see him recalling it, like he's thinking about the recall, I can't help but be impressed with me.
So what do you guys think of the celebrity flat earther now? Oh God, I was nauseated.
Oh, Logan Paul.
Are you on about what's his name?
Yeah, I don't know, like something Paul something.
Logan Paul.
That Paul.
To be honest, I've never even heard of him. So,
well, you wouldn't. It's generally a teeny what do they call them? Tween and tween. I mean, that's his audience. It's like teenagers and stuff.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing, Flat and Earth?
Hey, what's his bloody name? The only reason I know is because my daughter, like, look, he's got 8 million subscribers.
18
he's
million.
Funny.
18 million. He's called Logan Paul.
Yeah, Logan Paul. Oh my God.
He had 14 million before he joined up with this group. So, and that's what Mark Sargent could have come up with if he just had the courage to stand up and say something. But instead, he ran away.
Mark Sargent for walking out of that shit. So I knew that conference would be a Bob Xanadu. I'm sorry, I just don't like the guy.
It was an awesome.
I don't know. Sorry.
Out of the airport Holiday Inn in Denver. I mean, what else can you ask for?
Seriously, is this what Flat Earth wants? You want this clown as a representing Flat Earth? Whatever.
Logan, you're welcome. He's just some guy. If he wants to realise the obvious nature of the world around him, so what? You know, the fact that
you really think that's what it is?
Well, just think
hey,
what
Michael Myers,
Mark Sargent could have done.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Hey, Michael Myers. Hello.
Yeah, Mark could have come up and stood up there and made all kind of comments about it, and then got himself some subscribers. Instead, he ran away. It was ridiculous. What was he scared about? That's ridiculous.
He was scared.
I think it was a publicity stunt by him.
I think it possibly was. Yeah, all these people spent all their time. They took time off from work. They bought an airplane ticket. They came out, stay at the Holiday Inn, and all of a sudden, this guy gets up and flies home. It's ridiculous.
Did you hear his explanation? Because Mark did immediately make a show.
Yeah, I heard it, but he could have stood up to this guy. You know, I mean, instead he just it's pitiful in my opinion.
But I think it was more than just that. Like all the again, anybody that's follows Jesus, no problem there whatsoever. But the Christian Bible flat, it was just I didn't watch much of it. I couldn't.
Well, I mean, when I
so there's another video of Mark giving his explanation in the questions and answers videos he makes. I think he posted it yesterday morning or the day before, and he explains. He said, "Well, let's go to the emails, but first I'm going to address this," and he addressed the whole issue again, by himself without pressure, with a different point of view. So it's interesting to look at his point of view.
Why is this not just classified as drama?
Well, it is drama, but at the same token, I respect Mark for taking the position he has. He has discussed this guy before in the past.
No argument either, Jim. I just see it differently. I'm not a big fan of Mark Sargent, but I commend him for just standing up and saying bye.
I would have done the keynote and stood up and basically made a comment. I can't believe that people in charge of this convention invited this moron to show up. And that's how I would have addressed it, rather than screwing all the people that came to see me and running away.
But then he's screwing Robbie. Hold on. But then he's screwing Robbie, isn't he? So, I'm sure Mark has still got the utmost respect for Robbie. Robbie's made a decision that's promoting his event as I would expect to do. I would do no different to Robbie did in that circumstance. Mark has got a particular disdain for this person, and he's perfectly entitled to. And I think the best thing to do is not necessarily get up and make a keynote which would say, yeah, the organisers are all dicks, because I don't think Mark feels that way. But Mark's not going to be a hypocrite and say, oh, I don't like this guy and I think he stands for everything I hate. I'll go and shake his hand. Or I'll go and throw the organisers under the bus because I don't want him here. He was left with very little option. So I think he did the right thing.
I think him and Patsy knew he was going to be there.
Nobody knew he was going to be there.
I don't know.
No, that's not
it's all
true.
speculation.
No, I mean, I asked Robbie flat out who was going to be there. I made a few guesses. He wouldn't tell me. And as far as I'm concerned, I've spoken to a few other people who said the exact same thing. They didn't know. Nobody knew. He kept it well and truly under his hat. And to build up publicity. And good on him. You know, he's just trying to promote his event. And he's had a successful event. We're all now talking about it. If you want to look at it in that respect, it's a stroke of genius on Robbie's part. So I'm not going to criticise Robbie in the slightest. The fact that Mark doesn't like him, you've got to say, well, that's you have two choices, like I gave Reds. You either deal with it, put up and shut up, or sod off. And Mark chose the latter. Good for you, Mark. That's the best option you could have taken. The way he phrased it when he was discussing it was to say that he's there with his cameras and he's going to put his spin on whoever he films, and that's totally beyond his control. And why would you want to get involved with an absolute known troll that you know is going to put a negative spin, or you feel certainly that's the way, and you despise everything he's done in the past and find what he's done unforgivable? You know, there's been a few people saying, oh, the suicide forest thing is just a scapegoat excuse. Well, no. Yeah. If you have publicly said, look, I find this despicable, you're not going to go and, you know, shake the guy's hand, and you're certainly not going to hang around to be portrayed in a negative light by some asshole. Why would you subject yourself to that? So I feel Mark was left in a very tricky position, and his options were limited, and he picked the only and most sensible option he could. So I've got the most respect for both of them. Robbie, I don't think has done anything wrong and should get our support equally to Mark. You know, whereas everyone wants to pick a bad guy in any situation like this. It's like, oh, is Mark the bad guy for walking out? No. Is Robbie the bad guy for putting this guy on stage? No. Nobody's a bad guy here. Just because there's a bit of drama, as you put it, which it is. Hopefully it'll get, you know, ignored quickly as the irrelevant event that it was. Mark's not front stage centre. He's not Michael Jackson walking off stage. There was loads of people at the convention. Yes, there's going to be people who are disappointed. Most people who are complaining about that particular aspect aren't the people who are disappointed not meeting him. So, you know, I don't see the issue. Those people aren't standing up and going, I'm really disappointed. I came all this way just to see Mark. The fact that he's gone ruined my weekend. I doubt that was the case. You know, I saw the videos. People were very happy.
Yeah. He should have stayed because he's representing the flat earth.
The thing is, at the end of the day, right, everyone's got an opinion on it, and arseholes, everyone's got an arsehole as well. So I don't think it makes any difference. He's made his decision. It is what it is. Move on.
That's it.
And the other thing, secondly, it might be the case, and I don't know whether this is, so don't misrepresent what I'm saying, but it may be the case that Mark's dealt with suicide in his own real world, maybe a brother or cousin or something like that, and that's why maybe perhaps he feels strongly about it. Who knows? But he's made his call, and that's it, and that's the end of it.
True.
I think that Logan Paul, he might actually do good. Do you know what I mean? He's got millions of followers. Give the guy a chance. If he does turn out to be trolling the flat earth, then it's going to blow straight back on his ass.
He actually did say that. Yeah, he did say that he had somebody close to him that committed suicide. I think a couple of people. So yeah, he did take it very, very personal. And he sounded very pissed to me when he was talking about it. So
it would be the same for me if somebody started taking the piss out of like certain scenarios where I've lost somebody. I would have no problems whatsoever in just denouncing that person for being a dick. So I can understand both views, but at the end of the day, I don't think it changes anything. I think it's just drama. Just let it go. That's my view.
That's it.
But regardless, it's still the case that people want to pick a bad guy, and I just don't see it necessary. Nobody's done anything wrong. You know, even Logan Paul's just some dude who's made mistakes, so hating Logan Paul doesn't achieve anything either. You know, as much as that's a criticism I could lay at Mark's door, it doesn't change the event. The event still went ahead and was successful, and this has developed more interest. So from Robbie's point of view, great, 2 thumbs up. You know, Mark disappearing and walking out. The first conference had Mama Queen making a massive commotion. Nobody planned that. It wasn't scripted. It just happened and developed a bit of publicity, and that's, you know, in its own special little way. As much as it's annoying and a disturbance in that moment, it's quickly resolved, but generates some publicity. The same thing is true with Mark. We're all still talking about it days later. Why? Not because of Logan Paul. If he just turned up and nobody gave a crap, he was just some other random YouTuber nobody had heard of that had 18 million subscribers that were all teeny boppers, then, you know, it would just be like, oh yeah, there was a famous celebrity there. Who? Oh, I'd never heard of him before this. Oh right, that's nice. The fact that he's done something despicable and Mark finds it, you know, intolerable to be in the company of this person has generated an interest in and of itself. Negative interest in the most part, which is just bad. It's like, well, why not look into the issues about why Mark is so pissed off? The guy's been rejected by Japan on the whole, you know, or that's how they portrayed it, at least in the media. So, you know, it's not exactly an untenable position to try and relate to, is it? You know, he doesn't approve of his message, and lots of YouTube, his video is taken down by YouTube based on community guideline standards. This isn't like it's up for debate. You know, it wasn't acceptable what he did, so I don't see the problem. You know, having him on, from Robbie's point of view, same thing applies. The guy's got 18 million subscribers. He's looking to promote his event. He sees the guy as a well-known figure. Great. What more could you ask for if you're trying to promote an event? Yeah, you can't please all the people all the time. That's one of the unfortunate truths of organising events. You're always going to have somebody that's not happy with something you've done. That's life.
Well, he's going to reach out to 25 million viewers now.
I think, to be honest, it feels like an episode of Coronation Street. Can we move on, or do we have to dwell on this? Because I'm bored.
Yeah.
I'm bored too. I agree.
Anyway, even if there's nothing to move on to, it's probably still worth moving on because I still see it as drama. But anyway, Mama Queen, is she still on the scene?
Possibly. I heard rumblings.
Since the conference.
Well, this is my first time on your show. I thought I'd come and check it out.
Well, I guess we're in the position again where, I don't know, maybe we need to go back to the drama because it was obviously a
You totally
as much as I don't want to, can't be bothered with it, but
just tit for tat, mate. That's all it is. You know, it'll die down in about 2 weeks, like everything else.
Yeah,
absolutely. Today's
I
newspaper.
guess I look at it like I don't like this YouTube character. Maybe I'm just too old. Maybe I'm missing something.
You're not allowed to say old on the show. Get in trouble for that.
Come on.
I said it about myself. I can talk about myself.
No, but somebody will be offended somewhere.
Oh, here we go.
Well, just I've actually made old as a banned word on my channel, so we're not going to have it anymore.
Oh, right.
Can we not call it like
vintage
or?
YouTube's the only place really that you can really reach out and get to people.
I don't know. Somebody obviously made a conscious choice to have this guy as a surprise announcement, celebrity, blah, 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 whatever he's supposed to represent. I don't see any good in it. It's just me.
It was Robbie's decision, wasn't it? And at the end of the day, so what? I mean, you can't get every decision right. You're not going to get every decision wrong. If it was one of the better ones, then some people will appreciate it. If it was one of the worst, not.
Well, you got to look at it. I guess if it's about exposure, just getting people, getting more minds interested in looking at flat Earth, and I guess teeny, tweeny, whatever they call this generation. I guess okay, I suppose it makes sense.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But then you have people like me, and maybe older people are just looking at it like, oh God.
But do you see what's going on? We're all talking about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm not a fan of the whole conference concept anyway, so maybe I should just shut my mouth.
Have you been to any? Have you been to any mixers or meetings?
I would say go to one before you diss them because they're excellent.
Yeah, go to a few. They're brilliant.
Yeah, I actually would love to see a conference actually held here in South Africa, because that would be awesome.
Well, the flat Earth is getting bigger and bigger.
Where else are you going to meet your local CIA agents, with,
oh, God, here we go. Not at all. I mean, 3 years ago, I remember doing the first ever UK Flat Earth meetup, right? And I was all proud. I did loads of publicity, put out loads of adverts, plugged it. there was 3 of us, me, Martin, and a guy called Steve. Not counting my wife, because she definitely wasn't a flat earther. And that was it. That was the sum total of the meetup. But it was lovely. And then the next one we went to,
but
was
that's
maybe
different.
10.
That's different. It's a different. I don't conflate.
I'm getting there, Eric. I'm getting there. So the next meetup was about 10 people. The next meetup after that was maybe 50 people. And then, you know, there was a couple more in between with similar numbers. And then the most recent was the UK conference, or UK convention. The name changed halfway through. I always forget which one it was. Anyway, the one that was in Birmingham. And it was absolutely wonderful to meet all these people, Robbie included. You know, shake these people's hand, chat to them about whatever. I shot the breeze with Robbie about family for a few minutes, and you know, had a beer with him. It was nice. Same with loads of other people. Allegedly Dave was there, and I've chatted to Dave loads and just never actually met him and shook his hand, and it was nice. You know, same with Anthony, and I'm sure a dozen other people that were all there that just got to actually press the flesh. And unless you've actually done it, my first meeting with Martin was that meeting. Until then, I'd just spoken to him on YouTube. You know, it is less real, as much as I hate to admit it. People are the same people that you'll meet in real life. They're still the same people. Yes, people have a persona, but ultimately speaking, there's nothing better than actually saying hello to somebody in person and seeing what they're really like.
Agreed.
When is the next flat on the UK?
Well, the UK one was announced for September next year, just after summer.
Yeah, because me and Poncho Pete were on about going to it.
Just do one.
That's friendly.
Just do one. That's the easiest thing. If you want to do a meetup, that was my attitude, because I was like, I want to meet up with some flat earthers and, you know, press the flesh and all those good things. And so I just organised one. It was dead easy. Yeah, you might only get a couple of people. Mark Doxey recently did it. He just, you know, knew that someone was travelling over there and was like, right, I'll be at this pub at this time. If you're a flat earther and you want to meet me, or you just fancy a meetup with somebody else that happens to be in the area, come and meet. And same for him. He had 2 or 3 people come, and I'm sure they had a lovely time. You know, and if he did a second or a third, it might get bigger. That's just how these things roll. But people who were, you know, accustomed to going, Gary John, I'd met him at several of the meetups prior to him doing his conference. And, you know, he was talking about it, and it was just an idea and a rumbling, and would it be possible, and could it happen? And, you know, often it looked like it was going to fall apart at the seams, and then it didn't, and so on and so forth. These things are a trial for the people who actually put them on. You know, Gary, you know, he was very stressed with it all. Dee Dee the same, and it's cost them a lot of money. It's financially been a burden on them. I'm not gonna, you know, I hope he doesn't get annoyed that I tell people that, but it's a fact. The same applied to Robbie the first time he did it. It was a huge financial detriment to him, huge, and he just did it again. So, you know, he's doing these things that are initially at least detrimental to his pocket. Hopefully he's making a profit on it. I really hope so that it encourages him to do it more. Whereas when people get on his case for it, and oh God, you've had this guest on. Yeah, he has. Good. Hope he gets more.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you all like talking about then on this channel?
Well, we normally talk about what evidence there is for a ball, but we've kind of, all that's dried up, so there's not a lot really to talk about.
Nah.
They used to come on, but they think that Nathan bullies them a bit too much, so they don't like coming in anymore.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm a flat earther, like, and I always turn around and say to people, you know, I'll bet you £1,000 that you can't bet me show me the bendy water.
Yeah,
because water's level for a reason.
But then they come up with Soundly. So how do you deal with Soundly other than laugh uncontrollably?
Well, I just show them a weather balloon footage from 22 miles high, and I go, there you go. Where's the cave? Where does the cave at your start? You can see a boat go over the horizon, you say, but you can't show the cave from 22 miles high. This is where I get them. There's loads of things. I also did the UK lads I know about this one. I did try to do a flat earth bet at the bookies.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Was that you?
Yeah, that was me. And
they wouldn't take it?
No, they wouldn't take it.
Oh, I thought that was Poncho. Was it you with Poncho trying to do that bet then?
It was me. Now Poncho teamed up together, and out of about 20 bookies, none of them had take me bet. I nearly got, Paddy Power, because I made a bit of a fuss about it. They turned around and said, "Oh, we'll take your bet, but we'll only give you 200 to 1." I went, 200 to 1? I was like, wow. But then they pulled out their bet; they wouldn't do it. So yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. It went absolutely all over the world. This article, it went crazy for about 2 weeks, but now it's dead in the water. So it was, yeah, interesting.
Indeed.
Where's Poncho Pete based? What country is Poncho Pete in?
England.
All right, okay. Because he never pays attention to chat ever.
Oh, I'm always on his channel. I'm always on his channel. We're a bit wacky as lot, but you know, but we do put our heads together, and we you know, we do come out with some good things.
Good.
Well, to Dell's credit, I was talking about him earlier, but he's always going on about, you know, living in the here and now. So honestly, at this, when you're arguing with a baller, anytime like they start the Aristotle, no, all that stuff in the past that they suppose that we should totally reject it. All those hundreds of years of crap they've been selling now. Show me an experiment for these things. Prove it right now, in the here and now. I don't want to hear about Aristophanes ever again. It's nonsense.
They're all Freemasons. That's what it's all about. It's all about the New World Order. That's what they want.
Yeah, I want to see evidence that for today, the world we're living in today, that proves it's a spinning ball. I don't want to hear about your crap.
Why is there no current science to repeat and validate the claims from yesteryear? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Honestly, the ballers should not be allowed to talk about the past any longer.
I don't know if you know that Spyros Malakilis, the physicist.
I've heard the name. Is he the guy with the beard?
No, he does like the Marvel superhero films. Does all their sort of stuff. They've had 3 live shows with him now, and the Flat Earthers have absolutely smashed him. All he comes out with is imagine.
Yeah, this is the guy that he sat in a living room with a load of Flat Earthers, and they were all chatting to him, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the question that he said was, well, the one that really made me laugh was when he said it was Karen B basically cornered him, and it was to do with the idea of evolution. And what he said was, it wasn't that nothing exploded and everything resulted. It wasn't nothing; it was everything. So everything exploded and gave us everything. And when he said that, I just thought, what an utter moron. That's completely... Nobody knows what might have or may not have exploded. But you don't get anything. You don't get order out of chaos. And that was what he was pushing. And I just thought, what a moron.
Just going to make a quick plug. Sorry to interrupt. So the footage that was just playing was courtesy of Flat Earth Perth. So Flat Earth Perth channel, if you want to check that out, has got Pontchartrain Bridge from... elevation as opposed to from ground level, where you get the optical interference that you see in Soundy's footage, which he portrays as curved, but as you can see from the footage that I just played, I'll just pop it on screen once more and replay it. This is what you need to do if somebody says, Pontchartrain shows a curve to the Earth because he's got Pontchartrain Bridge curving into the distance. Well, no, he hasn't. Check out Flat Earth Perth's channel. He's gone to the effort of sticking some dancing person and a flying guy over the top of it, just so you don't end up getting copyright struck for using it. But this is the bridge, so there you go. That's what it looks like. It's not bending around any curve.
You're a UK boy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I've got a P900 camera, and I actually did my own testing with my own camera, and I zoomed 80 miles with my P900.
Well, I've zoomed 30, and I don't mean to dick swing you. I'm not dick swinging, but I zoomed 30 miles to Blackpool Tower from Birkenhead or Hoy Lake, and you can see the whole thing. And they'll tell me that it's bendy light, and I laugh at them and say, "No, it's bullshit."
No, I zoomed because I'm around the Lincolnshire area, and I was at Caister Top.
But light in itself cannot bend. Light always travels in a straight line unless it travels through a medium, which causes it to bend.
I agree. But you've got people like the Rumpus that tells people that light bends, and it doesn't. Rumpus is wrong. He's lying to people. Light does not bend. It just angles based on... Oh, and the other thing is refraction. The point about refraction is that most of the time the light's traveling through water vapor. And the problem is water vapor is less dense than the air it sits in. So it's like it's a complete... Well, light doesn't bend down is the outcome of that one.
The Pythagoras chart don't add up. It don't add up at all.
Light cannot bend medium, so water just generally acts as the medium for that bend.
Sorry, I didn't ask that question again.
If you take the bending of light in perspective, I mean, the light cannot bend unless it travels through a medium which bends the light. Water can do it, crystal can do it, bend the light in a different direction through the crystal. And it's just a thing of light in itself travels in a straight line. It requires something to cause it, that reaction.
Yeah. The key thing to remember with the refraction argument is that the refractive index of air is less or more dense than the refractive index of vapor. And when you're doing water observations over vapor, you've got water vapor that's basically making it all bend up, not bend down.
Yeah. Hang on, what about 76R? When you're talking about real refraction, yes, that's a very important point. If they were to apply that, which they don't, they apply something called terrestrial refraction, which is 7/6 of the radius. So 76R is terrestrial refraction applied arbitrarily to bend light around a ball with the same R value that's used in 76R terrestrial refraction. It's a begging the question fallacy on steroids.
Nathan?
Yes?
Can I send you a link on Skype to present?
You can. I was literally just about to round out and recommend everyone goes and checks out the premiere of the first show if they missed it the first time around. But
there's just something. I'm looking through the Rayleigh criterion as in conjunction with the mathematics around it too.
Yeah, just send it me and I'll stick it up now. I'll keep the show open a couple more minutes.
Well, just to let you know before I go, me and Poncho Pete are actually flying over to Greenland next year. And my P900 is infrared because I've already done the changes to it. We're going to be sticking it out the aeroplane window and we're going to be zooming in as far as we can go.
Out the aeroplane window?
Out the aeroplane window.
He means up to it. He doesn't mean out of it.
So when it's flying at 33,000 feet, we will be recording in infrared.
Yeah, so like Jay told them media stuff, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
So we're going to see how far it goes. If we can get 1,000 miles, 1,500, 2,000, it'd be absolutely fantastic.
It'll just be a hand wave dismissal from the ballers, though, if you do.
I know, but it's once you show it, you know, that's it.
Yeah, I'm just so glad that we don't have to accept the nonsense that they've got to accept.
Sorry, can you just let William's going to round out. I've got it up on screen. Hopefully you can all see it.
Okay, if you scroll down to where the mathematics are on that picture.
Yep.
A lot of if you see there, it's got SIN 0. Just below it, it's got R equals the wavelengths over distance. The only thing that I have a problem with here is that R symbol there in it. Because if you look further down on the page, it comes up as RAD, radius.
But it's radians, as in the arc of the angle that you're measuring.
Yes, a lot of the time, a lot of people would confuse the fact that it has that as a curvature of the Earth, which is causing the resolution difference, which is completely wrong because the eye has a limited resolution. It's only estimated to be around 500 megapixels, according to science. Well, that's what they say.
Sure.
But
I mean, that rad is the angular resolution.
The resolution, yes, the angular resolution. Obviously now with the angular resolution, the resolution is disturbed by the shortest distance and the greatest distance colliding. So your lowest angle with your biggest angle, which is which they tend to refer to a lot under the airy diffraction circles.
Indeed. We'll have to cover this in more depth, if that's good by you, William.
Well, what I can do is, if you got a bit of time later, I'll send you all the links I'm looking at, and we can go through it, and I can discuss with you my views, and we can just see how this can be best understood, because this is a very interesting topic if you're going to understand how the Earth works.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you want to tell me about it on the after show, because once this live show ends, I will carry on and we can chat about it, and it will go up in 12 hours time on the secondary channel in the after show, so it's a bit more relaxed and less pressure on you. So if you want to hang around now and take us through it, that'd be great for the after show audience on Nathan Oakley. Coincidentally, there is also the pre-show and the former debate. If you missed that, then you can check that out. That's premiering or has already started over on Nathan Oakley channel. And with that, I will say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, you know exactly what to do. But if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. Also, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. As I say, make sure to tune into Nathan Oakley channel. I have just put a link in the chat box so you can go and check out the premiere of the pre-show and the show that ran before this one. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Da-da-dun, da-da-dun.
Nathan,
Yes.
you need to change your script at the end when you're rounding out the show.
Why?
I heard somebody with a better script than you. He said, if you like the show, give us a like. And where you say, if you dislike the show, make sure you hit the dislike button. What he said was, hit the dislike button twice. And he emphasized the word twice, because obviously you can select it and then you deselect it.
I like that. I'm nicking that. Yeah, that's brilliant. If you
But that way
dislike the show,
it counts
then
as
smash
a
that
dislike,
button
which
twice.
is positive. But just troll them with it. Do you know what I mean?
Smash that dislike button twice.
Yeah. Because all votes count or something like that. I don't know anything, but just a clever way of making it not count.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, Nathan, I've got some other links I want to send you.
Okay.
And also I'm going to... have we got a full panel here at the moment, or we got space?
Yeah, I got space.
I'm going to get David Reed in here for the first time. He wanted to come on the show, so he wants to give an after show, so I said I'll add him on the show. He's actually sitting next to me, so I'll just link up his laptop quick.
Or he could snuggle with you and use the same mic.
It's cool that you got somebody to listen to the show with you, because nobody I know is going to listen to the show with me.
Oh, that was so much easier with the third screen. Can't wait to get my iPad back. Having a few more pixels on that will help even more. Obviously, it being bigger helps. But
what happened to your iPad?
Yeah, mine's smashed, so it's in repair at the moment. But I've got the iPhone plugged up as a third screen, and it's just absolutely brilliant. I've got the desk on it, and it's never covered with anything, and everything I use is visible.
Did Eleanor smash it?
No, well, sort of. She was climbing
that sounds expensive.
She was climbing on one of the pieces of furniture, and she fell off backwards. So instinct meant that I dropped the iPad from quite a great height and caught her. So in other words, instinctively I said, right, the iPad's worth less than her. Dropped it and caught her, and then knew what had happened, just put her down and went, oh no! But it'd already got a crack in it. So believe it or not, the iPad it's an iPad Pro. It's massive. And I picked it up one day from the corner, and the screen cracked. Literally, all I did was pick it up, and it cracked the screen because I picked it up just too far to one corner, and the weight of the iPad managed to crack the screen. So for a while, it just had this annoying little crack in the corner, but I knew as soon as I dropped it, because it got a crack, it would shatter the whole screen, and it did. But there we go. It's being fixed, or hopefully it will get fixed. It's been away for a month.
Has it felt like losing a limb?
Well, I do to a certain degree depend on it when I'm running the show, because it just acts as the third screen. So, for instance, the chat feed and the live show itself will play on the iPad, so that means it doesn't have to be on one of my monitors, and I can actually monitor that the show's going out okay, it's not glitching, it hasn't cut off, and that would normally be on the iPad. Also, the chat, same, it's next to it, so that's very useful to have the chat next to me, and I can just type directly onto the iPad. But without it, obviously, I've got to pick up a keyboard and mouse to actually do anything. It's not just as easy as touching on the touchscreen. These first world problems, terrible. But I could, literally with one screen, I couldn't run the show. Maybe if it was 4K and I was sat like right up against it. But yeah, with just one screen, it's just not enough real estate to run the show. 2 is a push. So you're all absolutely riveted by this.
Nathan,
you do a great job, man.
If you've not watched Roxanne's, make sure you have a watch of Roxanne's show from last night. It was really good.
You flat smacking this kid?
Yeah.
Well, a 20-year-old isn't really a kid, but yeah.
Honestly, she said he was up till 6 this morning asking all the questions, and I was like, oh, it worked.
The problem with this.
Hello, David.
Say hello. Hello.
Good to have you. Was it you we could hear in the background?
Yes, it was David. Mostly you could hear in the background.
Hello.
Yeah, can you not hear us, David? We hear you clear.
Can you hear them? I can't see anything, hear anything.
To David.
Oh, dude. Talk. Hello.
Hello. He doesn't realise we're all saying hello. You realise that, right?
Yeah. I only realise now.
Excellent. Good to have you. Thanks for joining, David.
Stop it, Mickey.
Huge fan of the show, Nathan.
Thanks. So where did you find your that card, William, that you sent me? Because that's fairly hard to come by.
What are you talking about?
Sent me the Rayleigh criterion, but it was I'm pretty certain by the low resolution of it that's exactly the same one that Zach had, but Zach told me it was hard to come by, never told me where I actually found it.
It actually came up as... Turn it down, David. He's actually got speakers on his freaking laptop. Freaking annoying. Just want to throw him on his head, but it's fun. I actually just typed in Rayleigh criterion and it came up as the second one on the page.
I think it's because people have been typing in Aries diffraction.
If you type in Rayleigh criterion, it comes up, as well as angular resolution and limits of resolution comes up.
Right, that's where.
If you type in Airy diffraction, you get Airy disk.
Yeah,
right.
That's what happens. That's what Arwen was reporting as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's basically because people, the first thing they try and search is Airy diffraction, they're not getting it. But if you search Rayleigh criterion, then it all comes up, all the information.
And this is the reason why the Rumpus never mentioned it in the Isle of Man debates. Because if he had to tell us what it was, then it's game over.
Well, this pretty much does explain 90% of what we see in the world when it comes to distance.
I agree. I hope this gets drummed into the audience. You know, I made a playlist with angle of attack. This is sort of baby steps to getting to this. But once people start to understand the basic concepts of it, then hopefully they'll start to understand the more complex stuff as it gets introduced.
Well, I did have a plan actually, Nathan.
Okay, cool.
I'm actually busy studying all of this at the moment. I got like airy disk, Rayleigh criterion, anger resolution, and limits of resolution that I'm working on at the moment. Busy studying through it, and I want to actually do a 3-part presentation on it.
Cool, excellent. Can't wait.
It's good when people are looking into stuff. How we all learn. Most of the time we have to learn by mistake because you read about something and then you think, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense, and then someone goes, yeah, but it's all to do with this, and then you realize that you didn't get it all, but you were there or thereabouts.
Yeah, like
yeah.
It was
get on that bed. Go on.
The first time I actually came across this was when it was mentioned on your show, actually, Nathan. Then I started studying into it, and I need to look more.
Yeah, all credit to Zachary Zabala, really. It was him that set me onto this about maybe 18 months ago. And it was actually, who's that guy that does the stuff on logical fallacies? Guy who sits with and records with his phone. Oh, God, I can't remember his bloody name now. I watch loads of his stuff. All right, it'll come to me. It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, he mirrored Zach's video that he did in the warehouse with the paint can lids and the A4 paper. And that's how I came across Zachary Zabala and immediately tried to get in touch with him to discuss it. And I discussed it with him ages ago on a video, Flat Earth UK interview, and it got removed from the channel. And not for any nefarious reason, it just vanished. And I was in touch with YouTube trying to find out why the hell this had disappeared and appealing to the audience to let me know if anybody had made a copy of it, because it was back in the day that I didn't record anything separately. Unfortunately, some random stranger got in touch and said, here you go, here's a really low resolution copy of it that I've uploaded so you can download it and put it back up. But because it was a re-up, it just got less than 1,000 views, and I was heartbroken, you know. But there we go. He put out the information about 18 months ago, and it, like I say, strangely disappeared.
Anyway, it's all good that the ballers don't like coming on anymore. I've got to be honest. I quite like it.
Yeah, well, it's after you explained how you saw the show being negative, and I agreed with you. From there on in, I was like, well, the road that this will then lead to is a fairly calm show, flat Earth friendly, I think you put it.
Yeah.
Because yeah, we'll eventually reach the point where the truth will out, ultimately speaking, and we're very privileged in that regard that we do actually have the truth on our side. So it's an easier life. Just set the bloody obvious. You know, it's a much more difficult task if you're pushing a paradigm and a religious belief in terms of what the world is. That's a far more difficult task, which is why we're met with such ardent, I think that's the right word, ardent opposition. Maybe that's
ardent is the right word.
I agree completely.
Yeah, you've got to state your lie with absolute determination and not a hint of any sort of concession that it could be in any way wrong. That's why we're, you know, that's the natural position that the globeheads take when they are on the panel. You know, that's why they'll never concede, because you can't show an ounce of weakness when you're punting a lie, when your position isn't true. Totally untenable, if you ask me. It's an outrage now. Then again, we've been talking about this for a good 3 years now, so it is outrageous. I mean, that's the only way I can put it. It's an outrageous lie, the globe lie.
Sorry, Nathan. Do you ever feel sorry for how deluded these globers are?
Yeah, sometimes. Not often. I do occasionally wear that hat because it, you know, I occasionally have this sort of conversation with David Weiss, and I like David Weiss a lot because he's very much for the reality sandwich approach, and he'll point out that, well, it's just cognitive dissonance. It's just their religious belief. It's just that's what we're preaching. We're telling people, or at least back in the days that I was doing interviews, that's certainly what I was preaching about. You know, the fact that we're indoctrinated, how we've been indoctrinated, all of the different indoctrination that's out there. So when people have actually, you know, demonstrating it to you in the here and now, we kind of act all shocked and shaken, and it's like, well, that's what we're talking about, right? Just, you've got to recognise it in the moment that that's all it is. So yeah, I do kind of feel a bit sorry for them on occasion, because they are absolutely indoctrinated with this belief, and the stance they take is the only possible way to ever be in a even remotely winning position. Not actually winning, but from the perception of the audience. So that's the only thing they can do. It annoys me, and Anthony's constantly telling me, look, just don't get annoyed. There's no point. You know, we are actually in the winning position here. What's the point in getting annoyed with these people? But it frustrates me that they can only take the position to try and convince the audience that there's some doubt in what we say, as opposed to actually coming up with a decent explanation for any of the questions we put forward. That's just frustrating. I'm sure with time it'll wear off, you know.
That's where you have to ask the question, why do people like the Rumpus keep coming back in and trolling in the chat? Why? If I thought red was the right team and blue, and you thought blue was the right team, you wouldn't give a shit, would you?
Well, yeah. It's like, put a priest's hat on and say Christianity or Hinduism or whatever, it doesn't matter, some religious faith, and just say that he's a priest of that. Well, when you ask the same question, well, why does this priest continue to push his religion when I've explained to him why it doesn't work or how it falls apart or whatever? You know, the same answer is the answer you'd have for Rumpus. You know, this is his religious belief, so he's going to punt it at all costs because it's his religious belief. That's how people are when they're... I mean, zealot is the right word.
Yeah. Indoctrinated as well.
Yeah, indoctrinated zealots. That's what they are.
Yes, and I told Rumpus today, actually, in the chat, that it's his hard drive that's wrong.
It's hard what, sorry?
His hard drive, his RAM, you know, like a computer, it's the hard drive. It's his facts that are wrong, the foundation.
Yeah, he's running on Windows 98 still.
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. The stuff that's actually processing in the forefront of the computer is in the RAM, right? So our paradigm is based on that. I was going to say short-term memory, but that doesn't make as much sense as your example, which is a good analogy. You know, the way you're processing the world is based on, you know, how your RAM's been programmed, and we've been programmed with a load of old nonsense. Well, you can scrub that pretty easily. Some people can. I think this came up on the show. Some people can scrub that easily from their existence and say, right, well, that's not how the world really is after all, so let's move on. And, you know, what looks the same out my window is still the foundation of my world, so that hasn't changed. That's how I deal with it, at least. The world hasn't changed. It's not folded up, it's not unfolded. It's the same as it ever was. Just guys telling you it's something that it's not. Guys and girls.
Well, all I remind myself daily is that we're still the ones that are basically showing that there's holes in their evidence, and they just won't accept that there are holes, but we just sit here and laugh. Is it cold downstairs?
Not too bad.
You've not been fed. What time is it?
It's only just gone 4. Okay, no. Tilly, Poppy, come here. Corey, come here. No, Tilly, come here and just shut the door.
The dogs think it's dinner time, and it's so not.
Oh, Corey. Come on. In.
At the end of the day, it's truth. Truth is what will rule at the end of the day.
And I think with that, I'll say a massive thank you to all of the after show audience on Nathan Oakley channel. If you're watching this on Nathan Oakley channel and you're unaware, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with all the Flat Earth debate pre-show and after show goodness. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!